name is Alisha Jean-Denis, and I am from Bridgeport, Connecticut, now living here in California.
Hi, I'm Jayla. I graduated in 2011 from CLTI.
As a parent, when Jayla was starting CLTI, she was 3, going into 4, and so she was pretty young at the time. And to have a small child and you're taking on a 20-week journey where she's learning and you're learning, very different than preschool. It was initially it was a hard, like it was just hard. I remember the moment where the first day where we went, we ate, we had a nice family dinner. Um, we met other community members, we met other parents, and then it was time to say goodbye to our children. And I remember just crying, and she was crying too because she was young, so we kind of had this separation anxiety happening. But once I got into the class, I felt at ease because, the 19 people that I was in class with, they looked at me and the facilitators, and they were just like, we understand and just trust this process. And so from that moment, I was able every week to feel a little more just a release and get excited about us both being a part of this process together. So I think the biggest benefit is, not too often do a parent and child get to do things together. You're either sending your kid to a sport, but this was the first time that we got to do something as a family together at the same time. I think that was the biggest benefit and encouraging factor to me is, you want as much to do things with your child as you can.
So the first time I do vividly remember this. The first time I cried, the first couple times I cried because, essentially, I'm being separated from my mom. And so I cried. And then later on, I do remember being excited to go. And I was always so excited when we were pulling into the driveway and everything. And then I do remember seeing Miss Gina, running to Miss Gina into her classroom, and just forgetting all about that. I should be sad that I'm being separated from my mom, but I was very happy and very just excited to learn.
One of the things that I will say is that I know that the love that she received from her facilitators, they were awesome facilitators. Miss Gina's amazing, and some of the other teachers that were there just really wrapped their arms of love around her and kind of taught her at age level how to be a leader in her community. And someone might say, well, you're 4, what are you really, being a leader of? But I think all of those skill sets that she learned, projects and reading, every week we got a new book that we would read together, different activities that they were doing at her age appropriate level, I think really helped her along the way. So things like being in gymnastics, she was, at the same age at 4, she was also in gymnastics. And so she was doing kind of leadership things, even on the gymnastics team, kind of standing out, taking the lead at that early age. And so I think some of the things that I see now of Jayla is her voice, her ability to speak up, her ability to question, to be curious, but also, challenge when she sees, things a certain way or things wrong. And I think that's important as she's in high school now as a freshman, now sophomore. It's important for her to just continue to build those leadership skills, be on sports teams, be in community clubs. And I see that happening more and more. So I know that that's a result of the early seeds that were planted in her at 3 and 4 to be a leader.
She became more of a leader, you can see the change that happened where it was before PLTI, it was more of a leader in process, and then after PLTI it was just the foundation was set. And now in a bunch of my schools she's the leader there, and like a bunch of like everywhere she's like leading and continues to like just like random people like she's never met at like a, I don't know, like at a party or something like that. She'll get engaged and she'll talk to them about her work and all that, and then they looked as her as like a leader, even like even if they've only known her for like 5 minutes, you know. So I think that's like an amazing thing that PLTI really like brought out of her.
I would describe PLTI as a program that really is centered around community, that is centered around care, and that is ultimately centered around the connectivity. You learn to be a great advocate, whether it's for, as my daughter said, whether like no one is, you know, you don't privilege one over the other. You see all people, all children, all communities as needing support, and some might need extra support. And so I think what it taught me, or what PLTI, I think if, you know, if I was to encourage someone to join, I would say it's the place that you can be your authentic self, that you can really tap into your authentic voice. So many times we take on the voice of others, or we, you know, take on issues because we think that's the issue that we should take on. But it taught me to like really be focused on priorities that matter to me. And if you're doing the priorities that matter to you and you're passionate about it, then you'll see great results. And I also will say, like they said, you know, if I was to tell someone, trust the process. Trust the process of the experience, trust the process. It is 20 weeks, but it's so worth the investment because it continues. Those skills, those, you know, learnings, the people that you meet, they continue on through your life. So it's really a social space and a connected space.
It has a good way of just teaching kids us like really touchy subjects in a way that we understand. So they make it into games, into dance, into songs, so then it's easier for like our child brains to understand. And so I think it's very, very beneficial if you take the course, because it helps you in like more ways than you think, and 10 years later you're still using what you learned in CLTI. And it's just I just really think of it as like the building, like the main foundation of just like learning everything you need to know. Like it might not teach you everything for like the years to come, like the pandemic or everything, but like it still like gives you like the building blocks, you know. Inspirational, because of what you learn there, and it makes you want to, like, if you learn about some famous person who had like a really big impact on society, it, as a kid, you're looking at that, you're probably thinking, wow, I want to do that. So I think it's very inspirational in like every aspect.